views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hola everyone, welcome to Open BxRx Remote, brought to you from my living workspace, Chari Executive Suite. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host Café con Leche every Friday. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Leading things off, we'll speak to the marketing coordinator for Black Girl Sunscreen, Shannon Franklin, as she discusses the importance of sun protection and education for women of color. Then we'll speak to Executive Director and founder of Healing Black Women, Laquanda Roberts-Buckley, as she talks about creating space for healing and alignment. After that, we'll be joined by jazz ensemble Bronx Banda's pianist, multi-grammy winner Arturo O'Farrill, along with multi-percussionist Annette A. Aguilar, and Casita Maria Center for Arts and Education's Deputy Director, Gail Heidel, to discuss this year's multimedia exhibition titled Bronx Banda, Love and Resilience. Later on in the show, Bobby C brings us an up-to-date with the latest headlines in the world of sports. And lastly, this week's Open Artist Spotlight shines on Caribbean soul group Afro Dominicano, followed by a performance at the end of the show. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way, because now we are officially open. Hey everyone, welcome to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host Café con Leche for the next hour, inviting you to get social with us online, that is. Tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV and like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, follow on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. So our first guest is the marketing coordinator for Black Girl Sunscreen, a SPF lotion infused with natural ingredients formulated for women of color, made with melanated skin in mind, that is. And here to share more is the marketing coordinator for Black Girl Sunscreen, Shannon Franklin. Hello, Shannon.
Hi, everyone. So nice to be on. Thank you so much for having us today.
Well, we are already prepping everybody for our wonderful good weather, right? We're not there yet, but however, we're going to start having conversations about how we're going to protect our skin, especially after being, enclosed for the amount of time that we've been sheltered in place. So,
Yes.
First question, why? Okay, so I want to say, like, people of color tend to not wear, right, sunscreen. So why is it so important for people to wear, people of color specifically, to wear sunscreen?
Yeah, of course. It was interesting that you said we're getting ready to go into the sun care season, but we at Black Girl Sunscreen believe that sunscreen should be worn every day, no matter if it's sunny outside or if it's cloudy outside, the sun still comes out. Anything left in the sun for long periods of time will eventually become damaged. So there's cosmetic reasons, right, to wear sunscreen. If you get dark spots or you want to avoid hyperpigmentation, and of course, anti-aging as well. So the wrinkles, fine lines, sunscreen known to slow down aging by 80%. But we, as darker colored people, melanated skin, we are known to think that Black don't crack, but it can. So we love the saying too, but it's, we actually can crack. Anything left in the sun for long periods of time will eventually become damaged, whether it's skin, signs outside, that's why they're always replacing them. And right. The thing is, when you have darker skin tone, when your skin maybe does start to crack or show some types of, a skin disease or cancer, we're not always going to see it at first because we have darker skin tone. So that is our messaging with Black Girl Sunscreen. It's very blatant. It's Black, it's essentially saying Black people wear your sunscreen too, And And
Yeah,
that's
you
where
just
we are
educated
here.
me. You just educated me. No, you just educated me, right? Because we're in the middle of winter. However, the sun still shines. And I never, ever thought to wear sunscreen.
Yeah, so we just as a team went to Utah to kind of make this even more evident. We went to Park City to launch our new Make It Hybrid. This is our mineral based sunscreen. So we can get into like mineral versus synthetic later. But it's like a small known fact, but when you're out in the snow, the sun actually penetrates your skin deeper because it reflects off the white snow into your skin. So we wanted to like make that blatant as well. Like even when you're out in the snow in the winter, you still need sunscreen too.
Yeah, especially if you're out there skiing, right? Because
Yes.
you get that snow burn, but it's not a snow burn. It's a sunburn from the reflection of the snow.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really something to really think deeply about. So, question: what is the best SPF for people of color?
We like to say whichever SPF you're going to wear every day is the best one. Of course, lots of SPFs in the past didn't, they weren't formulated for us. They would leave a white cast, purple. It just was not cute. So that's what we pride ourselves about, as being made with tons of natural moisturizing ingredients, because we love our glow, and that's exactly what Black Girl Sunscreen will give you, especially our our heavy hitter, our very first one, BGS 30. It's made with like jojoba oil, shea butter, so all the moisturizing aspects. So one that will have you excited to wear every day. A lot of our followers and our customers say like they love wearing Black Girl Sunscreen because it gives them just this glow, and your skin is just going to stay glowy all day. So just the one that makes you the most excited. Now there is like mineral sunscreen, chemical sunscreens. The difference is that mineral is literally going to just bounce the sun rays off of you. Chemical has to be absorbed into your skin to actually protect your skin. So it's preference, but the big thing about mineral sunscreen is that it's made with zinc, and zinc does have a little bit, the color zinc itself is white. So a lot of companies have, had issues creating a formula that will still blend in with zinc. Make It Hybrid is our first stab at it. It is blended with, mineral and synthetic. And we like to, it has a nice lavender smell. It's fragrance free, but it has lavender oil in it. So what that means is you're still going to smell a little lavender, but we like to think of it as like a calming effect. Take time with your skin, rub it in nice and smooth to get you that sun protection, but also your melanated skin. So
Well,
for
it's
me,
really thought out. It's really,
yeah.
really, and I know you also the actual brand prides itself on the fact that it doesn't leave any white streaks when you're moisturizing.
Exactly. Yeah. Because we have those moisturizing ingredients in them. So these are only two of the sunscreens we have. We also have a kids formula as well, and a Make It Matte formula. So that one is completely clear. People are obsessed with the formula. Myself, I love wearing makeup, so I need something that's going to dry down a little bit more, without a dewy aspect, just flat. So that's why I really love Make It Hybrid, but each one has its own finish. So you just have to, figure out what you like, but we like to say, wear the one that you're going to wear every single day.
All right. So even though it's identified as a sunscreen, because I'm sold, I'm like, wait a minute, based on everything you just shared. So you actually prime your face with sunscreen.
Yeah, so a lot of people actually do that. I actually switched from primer to sunscreen a few years ago, just because if it's mineral, it has a little bit more of a gritty feel. I have oily skin, so it works for me. But if you have drier skin or, just normal skin that's not super oily, people swear by Make It Matte. And you can use it on your face, on your body as well. For our 30 formula, people are always saying like, you guys need to make that in a bigger bottle because we want to put it everywhere all the time.
Right. So what's the difference between the Make It Hybrid and what's the original?
This is just Black Girl Sunscreen 30. So Make It Hybrid actually has a higher SPF. So it's SPF 50. Black Girl Sunscreen 30 is SPF 30. Most dermatologists, skincare lovers recommend that you at least wear a 30 and reapply. But of course, if you put on a 50, you'll be able to last a little bit longer out in the sun before having to reapply. So both of them, are again made with the moisturizing ingredients. It's just we wanted to come out with a mineral formula because it's so important to the skincare community and us too to have different formulas to fit different skin types.
That's it. Oh my gosh, you guys, that's Shannon Franklin demystifying the term that black don't crack. And even if it doesn't, we got to keep it moisturized and protected.
Absolutely.
Oh gosh, this is wonderful. Thank you. Wow, this was a nice learning experience even for me. I hope you guys learned something. And guess what? The beauty of everything that you just shared with us is that they're available at Target and Ulta, right?
Yes.
So that's awesome.
Yes, and more to come this year too. So you guys make sure that you follow our journey as well. It's just been awesome expanding, going into retail has really elevated the brand, but we also have, and we're also very thankful for our customers and our followers, just everyone who supports us in getting this messaging out that, hey, might not crack, but we need sunscreen too.
All right, you guys, once again, as she mentioned, Black Girl Sunscreen is available at Target and Ulta, but it's also available online by visiting them at blackgirlsunscreen.com. And of course, make sure to follow them on social media at Black Girl Sunscreen. All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll talk about a safe space designed to encourage all forms of wellness and healing for Black women. Don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back. So as we close out Black History Month, we are honoring the backbone and true leaders of the community. Our next guest is the Executive Director and founder of Healing Black Women, a safe space designed to encourage and promote all forms of wellness and healing for women of color. Joining us to tell us more about their social and self-wellness programs, please welcome Healing Black Women Executive Director and founder, Laquanda Roberts-Buckley. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. And most importantly, thank you for committing yourself to holding space for women of color, for us women of color, I should say. So I didn't introduce your whole bio, but I do want to share with our viewers that what I find most fascinating about you is your transparency.
Uh-huh.
In the way you describe the evolution of, I guess, this organization, which you're going to share with our viewers. But to read that you were a suicide attempt survivor who manages bipolar disorder and PTSD, and you're on your way to receiving obtaining a doctoral, right?
Yes. We haven't started the program yet, so we're working towards it. That's the goal.
Well, the point is that you've made it your life mission, right?
Yes.
In addressing your needs, and now you're passing it forward. So let's talk about how this even started. I gave them the way back story, right? Because that was like so many years ago.
Yes.
And now you formed this organization and or institute. Well, I don't know what you're referencing it as.
Okay.
Healing Black Women. So let's start with how that started and when it started.
So Healing Black Women started in February 2019. This was at the end of me having a major depressive episode. So bipolar disorder, you go through manic episodes and depressive episodes. And I was coming off of a very long, hard to treat episode. And I was exhausted. And in my exhaustion and frustration, I wrote an article called Dear Depressed Black Women, I Understand, just really pouring my heart out to just understanding what it's like to try to get up every day and go to work and still come home and just crashing, not having any energy, putting on that face that I'm okay and I'm just ripped apart on the inside. And when I wrote that article, I was like, I have to do something more. And when I did, I thought about Healing Black Women, and I was like, social media has always been familiar to me. And so I just started doing like 60-second videos. After 2 weeks, I said, I don't want to do this by myself. So I reached out to people that I knew that were already in the wellness space to join me, and they joined me as contributors. And we later ended up doing a virtual conference. We had over 200 people attending. And I said, you know what? We launched our website, we need writers on board. And so I had a group of ladies come in to decide to be writers with us. And I was like, let's start doing virtual panel discussions, really hammering out the things that we are dealing with as women in this space. And COVID hit, and the summer of 2020 was just brutal for us. And it was an honor for me to be able to hold space for us.
Think about it. It's almost like you were in preparation to be that space for people to use as a means of refuge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we're all still in boxes as we're communicating right now. However, if you're telling me that you were going through something pre-COVID, right? Well, COVID-19 means it came out in 2019. Yeah. So we don't really know exactly what date, but it was in 2019. But I want to say like towards the fall is when it started really becoming public. So February 2019, you had already made a decision, almost as in preparation for where we are now.
Yeah. It's surreal to think 3 years later we are here. We are here, and we are 12 women strong, including
nice.
13. We just launched our support group program, where we are offering monthly support groups for individuals who just need to hear from someone else, this is what I'm going through, or to connect with other women of color. And that was like really, really the basis, so that people don't feel alone, but also feel safe when they're expressing how they feel.
Right, because one is most likely to express themselves knowing that the person they're dealing with is familiar with what they're going through. And so I know you had a conference that was held virtually, that actually housed like 200 people. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Correct. That's amazing. But by the same token, it's concerning, because this is where we are, right?
Yeah.
So, as we continue navigating through this era, where do you see yourself, or let's say Healing Black Women, where do you see Healing Black Women evolving into? I mean, you reference it as a wellness space, got the website. I know you also have a podcast. I know you're a Reiki 2 practitioner. I know you're a certified life coach. So as I mentioned at the top of this interview, you've invested in yourself, and the beauty of what you've done, not just solely for yourself, is that you've invested to pass it forward. So as you continue evolving, right, because you're also going for your doctoral, even though it's not, right, the date isn't there, but you've already put it out there. You've already declared it. So I'm sure you're going to get it. And you're managing all of these women in these departments. I mean, you should feel really good about yourself right about now. And I'm excited to share this with our viewers. So just share with our viewers how they can either be a part of it or come to you, and what exactly it is that they would be walking into.
So with healing Black women, one thing that I wanted to do was make sure that we had programming. I absolutely love programming support. I am a licensed therapist myself. I'm licensed in Virginia and I'm licensed in the state of Mississippi. And so having that support programming was really the next step. And we began that this year by launching our, launching our virtual support programming so that anyone in the country can attend. We will be moving forward with offering free life coaching services for individuals. And at some point, I do want us to begin to offer free counseling by licensed therapists who are available. The thing about free counseling is that you have to have a license within the state that the person resides in. So that's going to come later down the road. But as things and we eye the environment, we are going to be looking at hosting wellness retreats around the country to really help women connect. And, we're just, again, looking at the climate to ensure that it's safe for us to be able to do the type of wellness retreats that we are looking to do. And I did want to say, we also are not necessarily bound to the United States because we do have an associate that lives in Canada and another one that lives in London. And so we're looking at potentially hosting some things there as well when it's safer to do so.
Wow. In a matter of 3 years, you've gone international. How impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, basically.
I always bring these things up because we've endured a lot, but there's something to be said about the way we've all of us, right, in general, have found ways to pivot and rediscover, right?
Yes, most definitely. I think for me, I always looked at other people that were in the Black mental health wellness space and asked myself, where do I fall in? But I'm a firm believer that your experiences will always create space for you. And instead of trying to replicate what someone else was doing, I just looked at my experiences and said, what did I need then? And then moved forward in that capacity.
And quite frankly speaking, that's what drew me to you, and I hope is of interest to our viewers because she's out of state, but she's just a click away. And again, going back to just being fully transparent, that within itself speaks volumes in having a deeper understanding of what it is that you're, I guess, serving as in your purpose within our global society.
And it, is truly, truly a blessing to be in that space because I have an understanding not everyone reaches that space but to finally operate and know this is my space and that my space can connect the lives to others so that they can operate in theirs is probably one of just the most rewarding and amazing feelings that I have.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for bringing it to our viewers. And you guys, once again, that's Laquanda Roberts-Buckley, who is the executive director and founder of Healing Black Women. And if you're interested in learning more on Healing Black Women, you can visit healingblackwomen.com and also follow them on IG at Healing Black Women. All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to hear about our new exhibition celebrating Bronx culture and the music created from the beginning of this COVID-19 pandemic era. Don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back. Our next guests are part of a historical movement being presented together with Bronx Banda to celebrate Bronx culture and the story of how a 9-piece jazz ensemble was formed during the pandemic. And in a new exhibition titled Bronx Banda, Love and Resilience, releasing a new 12-song album, a documentary short, and a coloring book. Joining us to share more is Bronx Banda's lead and pianist, multi-Grammy winner and Steinway artist, Arturo O'Farrill. And we also have multi-percussionist, Annette A. Aguilar, and Casita Maria Center for Arts and Education Deputy Director, of Creative Arts and Communications, Gail Heidel. Hello and welcome.
Hello, Rhina.
Hello, how are you, Rhina? Good to see you.
Good to see all of these lovely faces making some beautiful historical memories during, I guess, the silver lining of what we've been enduring the past 2 years. So, Gail, I'd like to start with you in just sharing with everyone exactly why, I guess, Casita Maria formed this relationship with, I'm not quite clear if Bronx Banda came out of Casita Maria or if Bronx Banda was formed and collaborates with Casita Maria.
Thanks, Rhina. So we have been working with Arturo O'Farrill for over 7 years through the generous funding from Doris Duke Charitable Foundation. And we received another round of funding in 2019 to form a jazz ensemble. So we auditioned musicians that either had a footprint in the Bronx or live in the Bronx in February of 2020. Arturo selected 8 musicians to form this ensemble. And we had intended to host pop-up concerts in everyday locations, like boxing rings and grocery stores and bodegas. But then the pandemic hit. So the exhibition actually is a collection of all of the really creative solutions that we came up with of how to present art and create art during the pandemic when we had to be, all in our homes and in separate locations. So the exhibition is on view from January 31st through May 13th of this year. We'll have a closing celebration on May 12th from 5:30 to 8:30. And what's really interesting about Bronx Banda is that all of the compositions are based on oral histories that we collected during the pandemic. One of the oral histories that we collected was with Grand Wizard Theodore. So we invited him to DJ on May 12th. So you'll be able to hear an oral history of him, see photographs of him attending some of our events, and be able to experience him DJing live.
That's so awesome, right? To be able to be in the space with an actual legend. Speaking of which, we have the great Arturo O'Farrill working with children. I mean, you are, for me, are one of the greatest geniuses right now within our community. And I mean that con todo mi orgullo. That, I mean, I've gone and visited you at the Joyce Theater. I just love that you're able to go and float and win your Grammys and come back and pass it forward to the next generation. And so, just as brief as possible, give us the history behind the way this whole thing formulated from your thoughts.
Well, first of all, let me say I am surrounded by 3 Shiros, and it's thrilling to be in front of you 3. What a delight. This began originally as a way to bring jazz to the Bronx, and I usually interpret that kind of art talk in bringing people to jazz clubs and nightclubs. And I said, no. The people of the Bronx have sacred institutions, and we need to honor those sacred, along with laundromat. And so we started setting up bandstands in the Maestro boxing rings, along with laundromat. We would play, and we would play in bodegas, and it was incredible. And this latest iteration was really special to me because prior to this, we had just kind of gone by word of mouth, and Gail had the brilliant idea of really opening it up to a blind audition process in which that's the way people really diversify their ranks, is by taking people based on what they are and how they play, not by what they look like, who they know. I didn't know half the people in this Bronx Banda iteration, and I was thrilled. I was thrilled to meet people and play with new people, and here's the really beautiful thing, it's just bringing together people from such different disciplines. We have a rock guitarist, basically, kind of a rock, not a rock guitarist, but a rock art music guitarist, the wonderful soprano, incredible viola. I mean, just from every walk of life. The great Annette Aguilar is with us, and so we really wanted to base this on the Bronx. We wanted to be about the Bronx. We wanted to be for the Bronx. We wanted to have people. All the compositions are based on oral histories that I participated in with Berta Jotar. And I mean, great heroes, not just the Grand Wizard Theodore, but Bill Aguado, people who have left such an indelible impression and have made life wonderful for decades for people from the Bronx. And the people of the Bronx deserve all the love and support, because it's a beautiful, incredible community. And for me, the ultimate reality was working with the kids. Was interacting with the children. And it's always my favorite thing to do. I consider myself a big child.
Yeah.
And so when I get to play with children, I'm in it. I'm in home turf.
That's how we stay young. Oh my gosh. And then you mentioned Annette Aguilar. Oh my gosh. I mean, you are a woman that all the young girls can look up to. I mean, you're an esteemed percussionist that really, working alongside Arturo. And the thing about it is that the genre that you've chosen to excel in it's a predominantly male dominated instrument and or a sector in music, right? And so I just wonder, like, what that's been for you, just serving in that role of holding that position.
Well, growing up in San Francisco, I mean, I've been in New York for a long time, but I grew up with 4 brothers, and then I have close half brothers, and it was never kind of like an issue with them, and my grandmother had 9 daughters, including my mother. So I don't know. It just was a steer thing. But with Arturo and I really, with Bronx Banda, it was a whole nother level, especially working with Arturo. Arturo was like, and from my heart, I learned so much. He was very open, and a lot of us are not like full-time composers. And he like helped us create during a time right at the end of March 2020 in April. I started, and being teaching in the Bronx for 21 years on 151st Street. I was into a lot of hip hop. I was listening to it for my kids because that's what they listen to. I listened to hip hop, but I mean, I learned more Latin jazz, Afro-Cuban, salsa, and Brazilian music. But he kind of pinpointed, the assignments, and because it was funny because he assigned me to work with Baba to do Theodore Wizard, with Theodore was into JB, which I was into James Brown. And so it was one of the most learning, powerful things that there was just some kind of cloud happening.
Yeah, I feel you. And you know what? We're receiving it. We're receiving it on the other end, listening to it, watching you all play together. So I get it.
Yeah, but it's different. I've been around for a minute here. But the deal is, it's another level, and really, I'm a student every day for me. And I learned something that was another level, another spaceship, and Gail was driving the spaceship, and she's still driving that. Because you look at it, and you can see that there's a plateau that kept happening, whatever obstacles, I mean, right in the hit of the pan. I mean, it's like, and we're all going through things, and people were losing people in the school, and the kids, and remote, in the box, and then I'm still here with my keyboard and everything I did to create.
I'm just wondering, Arturo, this is probably for you. How do you see the next generation inquiring further based on the music being created from their stories?
Well, one of the main objectives of this project was to put aside the notion that you can be just a jazz musician or just a classical musician. We really want to break those walls. We don't believe in borders. We're heading towards a borderless future. And I hope that our young musicians coming up now also don't decide to demarcate themselves and live in metrics. The truth of the matter is that all of the music that we're talking about is really comes from Africa, and all of that music, all those rhythms, hip hop rhythms, and even the music that Juanma Trujillo and Lenore brought has tinges of that freedom. And you know, it's funny because Juanma, I gotta say, Juanma was an incredible guiding force in this whole experience, with incredibly brilliant musician, but really open to the idea that you can do a little funk, a little disco, and then sound quasi-classical, future avant-garde, and that it's the same thread. Because if you put yourself on one end, you say I'm this or that, you don't see the continuum. And one of the most important things about me that relates aesthetically to this band is that the Bronx is a continuum. It spans a lot of different cultures. It spans a lot of different people. And if you just say I'm this or that, you're missing the beauty of it. And so for me, I hope the takeaways that young musicians will go, oh my God, the vista is so large. I don't have to sit in one place. I can be many things.
Oh my gosh, thank you all for taking the time to be here with us. Gail Heidel, Annette A. Aguilar, and of course the great Arturo O'Farrill. And you guys, once again, the multimedia exhibition, Bronx Banda, Love and Resilience, is currently on view now through May 13th. And the new album and accompanying coloring book will both be distributed to visitors for free while supplies last at Casita Maria's Gallery, located at 928 Simpson Street in the Bronx. And for more information, you can visit casitamaria.org. All right, stay tuned. Bobby C's Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.
Before we head to this week's Sports Corner, we have the Bronx Team and Player of the Week. Congratulations are in order. How about the Lehman Lightning men's basketball team? 8 players from the BX on the roster, including standout freshman Jalen King, shown here with the highlight reel jam. The Lightning, a pristine 20-3 record coming into the semifinals of the CUNYACs Wednesday after downing Brooklyn in the quarterfinals. Conference championship is tonight. Shout out to Lehman and King for dazzling the BX. To the Sports Corner we go.
I think what's great too about the book, obviously you're such a terrific writer yourself, but you also got a chance to work with ESPN analyst Keyshawn Johnson. What was that like?
Oh man, he is a pain in the neck editor. I got to tell you, that guy, Keyshawn is awesome. He has been awesome in this whole process. Now, I've heard nightmares about these collaboration agreements with writers. So, I had to be careful, but Keyshawn and I have known each other for more than 25 years. I covered him when he was started with the Jets. And there is obviously a trust factor there on his end. And when I approached him about the idea of collaborating with him on this book and told him the backdrop to it, told him that he grew up 5 miles from where Kenny Washington starred as a high school football player and then a college player, and he knew nothing about them and Woody Strode, he was pretty intrigued. He goes, and the fact that they played with Jackie Robinson at UCLA and are not given the same kind of credit for integrating their sport as Jackie Robinson is obviously for baseball. So it was a collaboration that really hit instantly. And it's been great ever since. I love Keyshawn. I love working with him, and he's been fabulous.
And Bob, that's really a terrific segue here, because in baseball, we have Jackie Robinson Day. We celebrate 42. How come the NFL hasn't honored their pioneers? What is your opinion on that?
Well, it's an interesting question, and I think the NFL is moving along toward recognizing just how important these 4 men are. They will be honored at the Super Bowl. And I think that really is a big step forward. The NFL has invited the families of the 4 players, all of whom are long deceased, to be honored before the game. So to have the game in Los Angeles, to have these men whose legacies will be honored, I think is a real step in the right direction. Obviously more can always be done. An annual celebration, that would be great. I don't know if they do it. I don't know how they would do it, but sure. And the irony here is that in baseball, Jackie Robinson is rightly recognized for his great life, his meaningful life, and breaking the color barrier at a very difficult time. These guys have been forgotten in the NFL, and they really need to be, a light needs to be shined on them. The NFL is 70% African American. I think in baseball, there are fewer than 10% of the league's players are Black. So it's just kind of like, well, they're honoring Jackie Robinson, which is correct, but they're not really doing the same for these four when the league is 3/4 African American. So, Keyshawn and I are really happy to be shining a light on the legacies of these men, because they really shouldn't be forgotten, and hopefully they won't be.
And you mentioned Washington before, Bob. I mean, in 1939, arguably the best college player in the country, probably would have been the #1 pick, but the league does not see that first Black NFL draft pick until 10 years later, 1949.
Yeah, that's correct. And Kenny Washington signed basically as a free agent. So yes, I mean, it took a long time. And even when Washington Strode, Willis and Motley broke the color barrier, it wasn't like, the floodgates open. Okay, we should have Black players in the NFL. They should be drafted, and we need to be fully integrated. It took a long time to be fully integrated, and it took really the AFL and owners like Lamar Hunt of Kansas City, forward-thinking people, the Rooneys eventually. Bill Nunn worked for the Rooneys after advocating for a lot of these players as a newspaper columnist. So it took some time, but there's only one first, and this time there are 4 firsts. So it's a little bit unusual, but these were the guys who really paved the way for players to come after them.
And there's an interesting story in the book with George Preston Marshall that brings the storyline really forward. We talk about, to present time with Juneteenth and George Floyd. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, after the George Floyd murder in 2020, there was obviously convulsive demonstrations nationwide, worldwide. And as part of that, in Washington, the statue of George Preston Marshall, which had stood outside RFK Stadium, was removed. And it was removed on Juneteenth. And it was a purposeful day, that Juneteenth, the day that slavery ends, is the day that George Preston Marshall's monument is removed from RFK Stadium. And I think it drew attention. I think Washington fans now and football fans now, they don't, who's George Preston Marshall? Oh, I never heard of him. Oh yeah, there might be a statue of the guy. Well, what he represented was, the worst of the worst. And Deacon Jones played for Washington late in his career, and he every time he walked by that monument, he spit at it, because he knew what it represented. And when you have that kind of anger, and a lot of Black fans in Washington, older fans, are Dallas Cowboys fans, because they knew that George Preston Marshall wouldn't integrate his team. They hated him for that, and the Cowboys played Black players, and they became Cowboys fans. So you go to any Washington game against Dallas in Washington, you're going to get a lot of Cowboys fans from the DC area. So that particular event after the George Floyd killing really resonated with this story. And that's why this story is we're not just telling a history of 1946. I think you probably lose some people, but if you kind of relate 1946 to 2021 and 22, you realize, wow, that there is an arc of history here that still continues.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it too earlier, Bob, about having this exclusive interview for the book with Roger Goodell. What was your biggest takeaway there?
My biggest takeaway was his kind of candor in admitting that the league has not really been up to snuff and has really been slow to kind of adjust. They have adjusted, and they continue to adjust. It's not perfect. And I found that his personal experience with what his father went through related to what he eventually did in terms of coming out with a video after black players in the NFL following George Floyd's killing said, Roger Goodell, you say it, Black Lives Matter. And he did that almost instantly because he thought back to his father, and he knew that he was going to risk alienating a really big portion of his fan base, including President Trump, by saying that. But his father, way back in the day, risked his own political career by coming out against the Vietnam War. He was a Republican senator from New York. And he sat his family down, including Goodell, and said, listen, my political career is probably going to end when I come out in favor, against the Vietnam War, but I have to do what's right. And that really resonated with Roger Goodell. And he reflected back on that experience from his childhood when he was thinking about what he was going to do about making that video and kind of becoming more enlightened. And I think he has become more enlightened. The Colin Kaepernick situation is going to stay there, and it's not a good look for the NFL. It's just not. But I think he, moving forward, has been much more outspoken, and he wants to do right by adding diversity to the league in a meaningful way. Hasn't happened, but he is at the forefront of at least trying and pushing the owners to have a better record on diversity hiring.
Oh, it's a fascinating read, Bob. I think America's most popular sport, very much like America itself, is still trying to figure out things, even in 2022.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Bob. Congrats on another book. You can pick up Forgotten First online and also at all major retailers. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you, Bob.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. So as we celebrate the 178th anniversary of Dominican Republic's Independence Day coming up this Sunday, our last guest is a Dominican York founder and band leader of Afro Dominicano, a Latin-fused band which centers its music into what they call Afro-Caribbean soul, a blend of traditional folkloric roots music from the Dominican Republic mixed with Afro beats, reggae, calypso, samba, funk, punk rock, and other Caribbean rhythms. Joining us to share more is Afro Dominicano founder and band leader Adriano Brito. Hello.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
We are good and feeling you, senor. Oh man. Well, you can hear the enthusiasm in my introduction because ustedes están on fuego.
Acabando.
Fire. So let's just introduce you to our viewers. I mean, we're going to give them a taste of your music later, but let's just talk about why you have chosen to just lead this fusion style band while still honoring your roots.
We decided to take a risk. We normally always perform merengue típico. So when I say we, I mean my band. This is an 8-piece band. We know each other for about 6-7 years, but this is the first time we, as a conjunction, decide to work on music and make it our own. Before we were just working on covers and other type of music, which is merengue típico, bachata, etc. But then this one was like, oh, we're from New York. We're super like into the merengue side, but we also listen to old school hip hop, old school reggae. Like we have all these influences, and then we put it together, and then that sancocho musical is what Afro Dominicano is, and we love what we do.
So when exactly did that occur? When exactly did you guys decide, you know what, we're gonna do our own original music and write our own original lyrics and create your own rhythms, because your rhythms are a nice fusion of like, hey, we're gonna come up here and then we're gonna ease it back. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, we already introduced it, but you'll give us more.
So in 2018, I decided to just focus a lot on writing music and like visiting the Dominican Republic and just like living there for a substantial amount of time. And I just like noticed that there was like a switch in what the music was in the genres. And our music, which is merengue, was kind of like falling off and dying down. So I just because the way I am, I like to write music. So the first song that I wrote was Amor de Colegio. And that's the one that when I came back to the States, like I contacted my bassist. I was like, hey, I got this song. I have an idea for it. Let me know what you think. And let's get a group of guys and let's see how can we make this work. So Amor de Colegio per se is a song that has merengue. We have also calypso. We also have un poquito de salsa, and then we have a little bit of rap at the end. So it's like, it's super New York, it's super like, you know, melting pot, but it's also super Latinx because it's like al final de todo, at the end of it all, like you hear those rhythms just breaking through. And it's like growing up here, like I didn't only listen to what my parents listened to on the radio. Like I was also like heavy on MTV, listening to like punk, neo-punk rock, Linkin Park, Blink-182, etc. So all this music, it was just inspiring me to write new songs and new music. And all my colleagues grew up during the same era. So it's like, yeah, we were all listening to the same music. So 2018, came back stateside, we met up, we did a rehearsal, and we haven't stopped rehearsing and playing since then.
I know, you can see the big smile on my face. That's exactly how I feel listening to you guys and watching you perform. Really, you guys are in for a treat, I'm telling you. But before we even throw to your performance, I want to talk a little bit about why you have chosen to continue playing an accordion, right? Because that's a really interesting choice of instrument.
So the accordion, it's whoever knows me, they know that the accordion is the love of my life. I actually picked up my instrument very late, so it's like I'm fairly new to it. I picked it up at the age of 20, so I have only 12 years playing it. It's an instrument that people to say that you're a maestro or an expert, then you have to be playing since you were born. But
it's a complicated instrument.
Yeah. But I like to tell people that the instrument chose me. I come from a line of musicians. My uncle is a pianist, played with La Gran Manzana, which is one of the most popular Dominican merengue bands, orchestra band that has been early 90s, even early 90s, early 2000s, they were still playing, and they're still touring now. My father played the guitar, but the accordion, it's funny because my barber was married to Fefita La Grande. He always had an accordion in the barbershop. So one day he just like let me hold it, and I just started playing it. And like, it just was so natural. Like the music was just so beautiful. I was so intrigued and understanding it that I asked him, hey, can I come here time to time and just learn how to use the instrument? He said, I'll do you one better. You can actually take it home. So
wow.
Yeah, so I've been playing it for 12 years. It keeps coming back because as you guys can see with my music, like I use the accordion unconventionally. So like I play reggae, I play rock on it. It's something that has never been done before. So I'm always learning with this instrument, and it's always teaching me new things.
That's beautiful. And I just, that was a little teaser for you guys, because now you got to stay tuned, because you're going to get to see him playing. And it's, again, the whole thing is really a treat. And before we go, Adriano, I did want to just acknowledge you as a Dominican, even though you're born and raised here in New York, and wishing you a happy Dominican Republic's Independence Day, and for being a representation of what Dominicans look like and are creating here in this particular era. So, and we're happy to show that to you guys, Adriano. Brito from Afro Dominicano. And you guys don't go anywhere because when we return, Afro Dominicano, perdóname, is Gemini after the break. No te me vayas. Hey everyone, welcome back here now to perform one of their originals. Let's give it up for Afro Dominicano.
Tengo un masivo inmenso, yo la mujer que quiero me dejó. Tengo un masivo inmenso, yo la mujer que quiero me dejó. Se me ha ido mi mujer y tan solito me dejó. Se me ha ido mi mujer y tan solito me dejó. Se me ha ido mi mujer y no le cuento todavía. Se me ha ido mi mujer y no le cuento todavía. Viendo esta pena yo aquí la espero noche y día. Viendo esta pena yo aquí la espero noche y día. Ella se me fue. Ella me dejó. Ella se me fue. Ella me dejó. Solo y sin amor. Aquí sufro yo. Solo y sin amor. Aquí sufro yo. Ella se me fue. Ella me dejó. Ella se me fue. Ella me dejó. Solo y sin amor. Aquí sufro yo. Solo y sin amor. Y como en el amor no siempre pierde, Rafi.
That was Afro Dominicano. Woo! And their album, Letters to Zoe, is available on all streaming platforms. And if you're interested in more on them and to listen to their music, you can also visit their website at afrodominicano.net and check them out on IG at Afro Dominicano. That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through and to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out the recable cast tonight and 24 hours a day at bronxnet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor, and of course, power to the people, and happy Dominican Republic Independence Day. Palante, mi gente.